Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم. Let's recite a salawat all together in our homes to bring the Imam of our time in this meeting, and inshallah by the barakah of the salawat we'll all learn something together. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So thank you everyone for joining on this Sunday. Inshallah, there is a packed program ahead with lots of scholars, my teachers in there, and you'll be learning the second part, carrying on from the first, where we focused on particular subjects, and the idea is to do a selection of these topics to equip our teachers in best delivering their lessons to children. Just a quick intro. So my name is Ali Jafri. I did the last session on creative teaching methods, where we went through some of the online resources that teachers can use, and how they can use them within the online environment, and also if they are able to do the physical classes, what we can do in there. So inshallah, today I'll be talking about a productive learning environment. There was lots of feedback from previous session and as part of the registration process as well, that teachers, and in fact, we've got not only teachers over here, but parents or those people who are interested in teaching, but not actually either teaching or teaching on a regular basis. So we have a mix of attendees in here, and the feedback and the expectations was that all these online tools that we talk about, like the Zoom and PowerPoint and Kahoot and other ones, let's have a bit of a hands-on session where we can look at these features and actually, rather than just looking at them on a screen, we actually try some of these things out, so that when you are with your class, you're able to utilize these features and deliver all the content. Today's focused on fiqh. Misam just went through a lot of topics in fiqh. They are, for children, they can be sometimes like dry topics. So we have to make them interesting enough and fun enough for kids to learn. At the same time, delivering the content, but delivering it in a way that it achieves the purpose and they actually learn something. So today, I'll be just focusing on, because there's about 50 minutes or so, I'll be focusing on these four tools, which some of you would already be familiar with. I'm sure everyone would have used Zoom so far, but some of you might be new to Zoom as well, especially some of the features within it. So it could be a little bit of a repetition, but hopefully we can cover it so that everyone has a same understanding at the end of the session. Let me look at PowerPoint and Kahoot and Google Jamboard as well, which I'll find quite useful. And lastly, just some notes on if you want to be classed as a creative teacher. So in the last session I mentioned, we can have all sorts of teachers, basically, from the starting point where we have content in the book and that needs to be transformed into the child's mind, or we can be creative and really spend some time in planning and learning and equipping ourselves. So when we do come to the classroom, we are able to achieve the objective, and the children find it interesting as well. So it's not just you being like a good teacher and transforming knowledge, but on the other side, the receiving end is the actual criteria of how effective of a teacher you are. So at the end, we'll go through some tips on what you can do in terms of becoming a creative teacher. And just to start with this saying from Imam Ali alayhi salam, do not force your customs upon your children, for they are in other times than yours. So we're definitely thinking ahead of our time when we are teaching the kids as young as 6-7-year-olds. So there has to be some effort in going that 10 years ahead and thinking how they are thinking and how they wish to learn. I copied this slide from the last training session just to show that these days, unfortunately, we are having to do online classes for our kids, and inshallah soon, like, we'll be reverting back to on-site classes. There is no comparison to an on-site class with an online class from my perspective. The actual learning and I'd say the real interaction happens in an on-site class, but because we have changed almost all our life into a digital world, we have to make sure that if we are following those digital tools and using them, then we are well equipped and familiar how to use them. And you can see, like, there's a lot of areas to consider in an online class. Like the devices, like the internet connection, where child is alone, there's lots of distractions, there's fixed timings, environment, lots of things more to consider than when you enter a building and there's a class ready for you and everything is contained in that sort of area. And lastly, one of the job of the teacher, depending on what age you are teaching, some teachers are teaching different ages as well, that one size doesn't fits all. So whatever I'll be saying to you and whatever the other trainers and ulama will be talking about, they have to be slightly adjusted based on the age of the children. Sometimes this is mentioned clearly within the trainings, but unfortunately we don't have training specifically for 5-6-year-old and specifically for particular age groups. Madrasa children age from a range, and again, due to time constraints, we normally try and cover the whole age range in the same session. So let's start with Zoom, and again, as Misa was saying, I'm very happy to take questions, because this is like an interactive thing. You can use the chat function to ask various things. I think that might be easier. If you do want to explain something or ask a question with a microphone, that might be best to do in the end, just to make sure that the content that we have gets delivered as effectively as possible. So starting with Zoom, as I mentioned, I think everyone has used Zoom in one way or the other, not just in madrasa teaching, but we have our Majlis programs, our community center events happening all on Zoom. So there's quite a lot of familiarity with the application itself. There's a slight drawback, and I can only kind of like apologize for this. If I share my screen, I'm not able to share the Zoom controls as such, because the share screen is meant to bring up the screen of the computer rather than the Zoom application itself. So I went in and took screenshots of every single feature, just to explain to you all these options that we can use within Zoom. Again, I think everyone would be aware of the free Zoom account. You don't need a Zoom account to join a meeting as such, but if you want to host a meeting, then you can create a free Zoom account just by using your email address. No cards or anything like that required. And you have a limit of 40 minutes for meetings and 100 participants. So you can have a meeting of 2 or more people for 40 minutes free on Zoom using these features. However, there is an option of unlimited one-to-one meeting as well. So if you want to test and try something out, then you can have, I don't know, a friend or a relative or someone have as a test meeting, and then you can play with these features before you actually use them within the class. So These are all the things that I'll go through. Again, apologies if some of them are very common and you already know about them, but we just want to make sure that every one of us have a same understanding of it. So this is that Zoom screen, which we get into as soon as a meeting is started. And this assumes that you are either a host of the meeting, so you have logged into the Zoom account with the email address and password which the meeting was created with. And then you've started the meeting as a host, or it could be that an admin has started that meeting and you have been assigned the role of a co-host in there. So host and co-host are sort of similar in terms of what they can do. So this, when the meeting starts, this is the screen that you get onto. The only addition is that I have clicked on participants to show the participants window on the right-hand side. If you are on a computer right now, you can click on participants and you'll be able to see all the participants that are in this meeting. But because you're not a co-host or a host, you won't be able to do much with them apart from just seeing the list of participants. When it gets to 100 in a normal Zoom account, you can get add-ons and have bigger Zoom accounts too, for up to 300 people, I think. The participants won't be able to join, saying that the meeting is full. So there's lots of things on this screen. So there's a lot of things on this screen that we'll go through in terms of individual features, but you can see there's some controls at the bottom of the screen, and then there are little arrows next to participants and share screen and start video and unmute. And when you click on them, you get more options to control, again, all of this when you are a host in there. Similarly, on the participant side, you are able, if you click on a participant, then you will get more options, and I'll show that to you in the screen in a second. Okay, and once you are within a meeting, then on the top left-hand side, there is this little badge, a green badge in there. If you click on that, you're able to see the meeting information, like the meeting ID and the meeting link, and there is an option to copy that link and send it to someone if you want people to join the meeting. Hopefully you would have sent the meeting invite well in advance, but if someone needs to be added, or sometimes people ask what's the meeting link, so that they can join from another device or get someone else to join in. Within a meeting, you are able to get that from here in a copy format. You're able to see the link and copy it from the main screen as well. Okay, so there's lots of other options and features. And as I said, I've taken these individually, so it's not from just images from Google or anything, just so that we're very focused on what is possible. There are multiple ways to join a meeting. You can send someone a link which they can click on and then join a meeting, or if you click on join a meeting on Zoom's website, you are able to enter the Zoom meeting ID, and if there is a password with it, and join it from the Zoom website as well. if for example, you don't have a link and you are just giving an ID and a password. This is again for the kids as well. Sometimes when you do join in, they will ask, how do I join the meeting or the class? Usually it's a recurring meeting, so every time the meeting ID and the password remains the same, and you just join in using the same details or the same link. If you want to host a meeting, this would require an account, and it takes you through the sign-up process, and you can host a meeting. And that usually this host meeting is not used a lot. people who are hosting a meeting would sign in and then go to their meetings area and start a meeting from there. Okay, then going into the next section. So once you are within the meeting and the meeting has started, audio testing is quite essential, just to make sure that people can hear you okay. And sometimes people are using separate webcams which are attached to the USB port on the laptop or a computer. So the laptop itself has a speaker and a microphone, but the webcam might come built in with a microphone as well. So if you click on audio settings, where it says, once you are within the meeting, where it says unmute, the little arrow next to it, that can be clicked, and you can go into settings, which opens up this window. And within this window, if you click on audio, you're able to see speaker and the microphone options. And by dropping these down, where it says echo cancelling speakerphone, which is my my speaker, you're able to see multiple speakers. For example, your external speakers or the speakers of your laptop, and you can select the right speaker and then click on test and adjust the volume from here as well. Similarly with the microphone as well, and you can select the right microphone. Sometimes if you're using a webcam and it comes with a microphone, then that's a better quality and you're speaking right into it. So it's a better way of using the mic, but you can always test it and adjust the levels to what you want. There is an option here to suppress background noise. And this is, I set it to auto because I'm in a quiet place, when I'm doing my sessions. But this can be useful to a lot of people, where if you click on the arrow next to auto, you have an option to suppress the background noise. So if there are people, potentially talking, or you are near a window and there could be cars or other noise coming out from outside the house, then you can drag the bar all the way up to high, and that would suppress the background noise. So it will just automatically take on the noise or the voice that's being spoken into the microphone rather than the background noise. So you can try that, again, these features in your own time, just so that you're in the best place when you're joining that meeting. So these are some audio features, well in advance of the meeting, that you're ready to conduct your class. Again, I'm sure everyone is aware of virtual backgrounds these days. Virtual backgrounds are a good way to hide your background where you're sitting. For example, like I'm using a virtual background right now. So next to the start video button on the main screen, there's a small up arrow. If you click on that, it gives you an option to choose a virtual background, and then you can browse to a picture on your computer, and then apply that. If your video is off, like it is showing in that picture right now, you can test that virtual background before showing it to other people. One of the tips that I can give is you can also create your own virtual backgrounds. So I will be going through PowerPoint in a few minutes. You could create a nice PowerPoint screen, a slide, I'd say, with whatever you want on it, pictures, text, anything, and then just save that as a picture file, as a JPG file or something. And then you could just browse through that as a virtual background. So, you can show the people what you want to show, especially like if you're sitting in the middle and you have all the left and the right area empty, you could place images and text. And in the last session, we used virtual background as an example, that It could be a good tool for creative teaching as well. You could have multiple virtual backgrounds depending on your topic. When you don't have a PowerPoint on, this virtual background can just help children concentrate on certain keywords or certain pictures or certain even verses of the Quran or Hadith, to just keep looking at them and trying to make sense out of them. Okay, then we have some options for security, and when you are in a meeting and you're a host, if you look at this bottom right hand picture in there, there is a button called security, and when you click on the security button, you are able to see some options in there. For example, you can allow kids or children to share the screen. You can allow them to chat or not chat. You can allow them to rename themselves or unmute themselves as well. So if this thing is ticked, then kids are able to unmute themselves. If you untick that, then they are not able to unmute themselves. And sometimes, and this can be done during class as well, not just before. So if you do get to a point where it's becoming a noisy class, then after muting all of them, you could just tick on unmute this option, and then they won't be able to unmute themselves, and then you can control it accordingly. Yeah. So Zoom now requires either a waiting room system or a password system in every meeting for security purposes. So if you haven't provided a password for your meeting, then waiting room would automatically be enabled, and you're not able to disable it, basically, because it needs one system. But if you have put a password in, then you can disable waiting room so people can just join in straight away. And if you want a proper extra security, you can even lock the meeting, which means that it just won't be available for anyone to join in. Okay, I'll move on slightly quickly rather than going back to the sessions. So once you start, I'll be going through each of these screenshots. So apologies if you just concentrate on that one, and then I'll explain what it is. So once you are in screen sharing mode, you get to see a bar which is on the top of screen. You can drag it anywhere on the screen as well, but usually it starts with the top with all the controls. So this is after you have shared the screen. And within the screen, there is an option to something called annotate. This was initially not discovered by teachers, and kids just made a wrong use of it all the time. When you do log into the meeting and the host hasn't disabled it in advance, the children would have the option to annotate, and it's not in the security feature as well. So you can click on this more button in here and disable annotation for participants, so they won't be able to use these drawing features on the screen. But if you do want to use annotation for your own classes, you could just click on annotate, and sometimes within the PowerPoint you're able to draw things around keywords or point to certain pictures or certain areas, and make children concentrate on a particular part of the screen. So it's a good feature in that sense. Sharing screen is again one of the other common features. You can click on a new share, share screen. I think new share is when you are within a system within already sharing something. So if you click on share screen, this screen comes up at the bottom, and it has an option to show you all the open windows in your computer. And you could either click on the first one, which is a screen, and that makes it easier for you to swap between screens and show whatever's coming on your screen. Or if you want to just show one part of your screen only, then you could just select any one specific window and just share that one only. If you share one window, and then only that window will be shared, and you won't be able to show anything else unless you stop sharing and then share again, either the full screen or the specific screen. If you are sharing something like a YouTube video, then it's important to click this button right at the bottom called Share Computer Sound, and optimize screen sharing for video clips, so that the video clips are not lagging, and the sound goes well with what's showing on the video too. Yeah, and then there is a whiteboard option as well, where you can click on, and you could it's like a virtual whiteboard. Whatever you write on it, people are able to see that. You could use that in a new PowerPoint slide, or you can just use the whiteboard features of Zoom. And this is available in all Zoom accounts, so not something sort of specific. There is an option of on the right hand side, if I can show you, like for the chat. So when you have a lot of people in the participants area, you will see them listed in here, and either they are able to chat to everyone, or they're able to chat to a particular user. These settings can be controlled by clicking on these three dots at the bottom, where you can stop the chat completely, have them chat only with the teacher, or they're allowed to chat within the class as well. We also have a new feature in Zoom called the Breakout Rooms. Again, I'll recommend using this for slightly older children. And if you have kids in class, let's say like more than 6 or 8 kids in the class, then you can use this thing called Breakout Rooms. And again, if we go back to the front screen, there is an option of these 4 boxes called Breakout Rooms. If you click on that, it opens up this window, and you can create multiple breakout rooms. If there are 8 participants, they will be equally divided into 2 in 4 breakout rooms, or you can assign a room specifically for the specific child, or this thing we probably won't use, let the participant choose their own room. The idea is that if you have, let's say, 11, 12, 10, 11-year-olds, like older children, and you want them to discuss something specific and bring out a result from it. So it's not for leaving them to chat in these rooms. You are asking them to, giving them a topic and say, let's discuss this, and then come back to me in 5 minutes on what you have discussed in there. So the teacher can randomly go into different breakout rooms as well, and just see, like, what these kids are discussing in there. Okay. Then we have options for polling in there. Again, this is a quite quick assessment method for what you have taught. These needs to be created in advance. So when the meeting is started, or even before the meeting starts, you can click on the poll button, and it will take you to the Zoom account in there, and you're able to create multiple choice questions, like a question and multiple answers, as many as you like, and then click on anonymous, or you want people's names in the results as well. Once the poll is created, you can click on polls, and it will come up with this option, but it's not shown to the users until you click on launch polling. And when polls are launched, then kids would have an answer to just click the answers of every question. At the end of everyone doing it, you will get the results, and only you will get the results. But then you have an option to click on share results to be able to show other people too. And again, if lots of people are giving wrong answers, then that's the point. You can remind them of the topic again. At the bottom, we have participants list in there, and you are able to, unfortunately, I mean, I couldn't find, and I don't think it's possible to just unmute someone by yourself, but you can ask someone to unmute, and then they will get a pop-up on the screen saying the host would like you to unmute, and then they can just unmute at that point. And then there are more options as well. I think I showed the more options somewhere here. So there are more options. If you click on that, you can ask them to start a video, you know, and rename them, put them in a meeting room, or even remove them from class as well. So if you want to remove a child for some extreme reason, then you could use the more button to remove them. And just finally, there are multiple ways of displaying the picture. And I think you can try that now as well, where if you have a PowerPoint and a trainer teacher in there, you can split something called a gallery view or a speaker view, and then you see the PowerPoint and the person on the side. I normally try and get students to do this because otherwise in the PowerPoint, when you share the PowerPoint, the screen the trainer's video goes really small on the side, and you can't you know, that kind of loses that eye contact part because the children can't just see you. So if the PowerPoint and the person, the teacher is side by side, then they have that equal view of both the teacher and the slides. So that's like a quick view of Zoom. Ideally, I would have liked you to have shared my screen and open up Zoom and show all these things, but you know, that's just not possible. So this one I had to sort of leave in there. So just conscious of time, I'll move on to the next one, and this one we can talk about. I can show you a few things too. So everyone is using PowerPoints in some shape or form, or they're sharing their screen. And I just thought I'll just go through some quick features of PowerPoint so that you can make best use of the software. Now, PowerPoint is available in a lot of different versions, and you know, people can have something like PowerPoint 2010 installed, 2013, 2016, standard version, professional version, Office 365 version. And so fortunately, like me working in IT, I get to use like sort of latest software. So this is PowerPoint, you know, which is available via Office 365. And they automatically update it in the background. So it's always with all the sort of latest features. So some things that I show might not appear in your PowerPoint, but you can check, like, you know, what is sort of possible. The first one is design of PowerPoint slides, and again, like lots of built-in designs come in as part of the PowerPoint software, which you can just automatically apply to any PowerPoint presentation, or if you've been asked to use a specific theme, for example, Majlis Ulama sessions, we normally use this theme as a starting, you know, slide, and then the rest of them have got the logo and this footer bar at the bottom. So if it's that, then you just open up the template and start adding new slides based on these templates, or if you're starting from scratch, you can apply any theme. And the good thing is that without applying it, you can just place your mouse on any of the theme and you'll be able to see how your PowerPoint will look like in different things. So I'm not clicking on anything, just moving my mouse, and I'm able to see how all this you know, thing will look like. If you have a template that you're using, then to continue, there's two options in there. You can, when you right click on any of the slides, You can, if you click on new slide, then the chances are that you will get a blank slide like this and without any formatting. But if you use duplicate slide, then you'll have the same formatting that comes up, and then you are able to just continue using the same format that comes that you are requested to do. Then comes the home. So I'll just go through the menus on the top quickly, just to show you what is possible. The first one is the home menu, and within home, so within home there is some, again, a lot of features available in here. I'll point out some of them so you're able to sort of resonate, and some that I use regularly as well. So format painter is something that will easily let you apply any format to the text styles in there. So if I start typing something in here, and then it's a different color. So this the way design is written and the way this other text is written is completely different. I want this text to be exactly the same as this one. So rather than going in and selecting the font and the color and the size and everything, I'll select this word, click on Format Painter, and then click on this other word, and it will just apply all the formatting to it. So sometimes, we have to apply titles and make sure that all the titles are the same. Like I've got PowerPoint written in here, and Zoom written here, and setting context written here, and all of them are exactly the same because I've just used Format Painter without thinking like what's inside, and then it just applies the same options and same styles across. So that's on the use. I mean, I won't go into colors and making things bigger or smaller. I'm sure everyone's aware of bullet points and other things. Let's get into insert, and within the insert options, you have inserting a table in there. And again, these things, you can put simple text in here, but the more attractive you make the PowerPoint, the more chances are that kids are able to look at these various things like text and tables and pictures and icons and shapes and all sorts of videos. And then in multiple ways we're giving them the same information with the hope that in one way they will learn. So as I drag my mouse on these on these boxes, the table gets automatically created, and when I leave it, then it just leaves it there. I can make the table smaller, and then just drag it to the place that I want. So rather than putting just a plain text, I can put something in a table with rows and columns, and then you'll be able to see, present the information in a different sort of format. We have lots of shapes to enter to. So rather than drawing something, if you want to show a big arrow or a star or a speech bubble or something, then you could just draw it like this, and then you can add right click and add text in there. And this just starts to make the PowerPoint more attractive. We have options for icons as well. I know lots of people use icons these days, and when you click on icons, you see all these different various things. I don't know if you want to show a battery and somewhere. These are also important. Actually, a very good point here to remember. We have a huge tendency as teachers to just go into Google Images and copy paste something from an image and make it just a quick thing. these days there's a problem with image copying across unless it's a publicly available image. So try and use more icons and shapes and everything that is like created by yourself rather than copying something, unless obviously it's available. And there's a whole range of shapes available for you to use and make it bigger and everything. So yeah, so we've got that. There are other ones as well, like models and arts and things. Something that would you may find like again useful is charts. And previously what happened was when you had to use charts, you had to go into Excel, create the table in there, and then create a chart to show like different things. But in here now in PowerPoint, you can just click on a chart, and then it just gives you the option to open up a little table, and you can put in your rows and columns, and it displays things on a chart, just all from within PowerPoint. Yeah, so there's also options of inserting videos. So rather than going all the way to youtube.com and opening up everything, you can click on insert video, and an online video. You do need an obviously internet connection because you're you will be online anyway. So if you click on online video, all you have to do is to paste a link of a video and it just comes up. So I have a video over here that I can just go in and sort of paste in here. And these are when you're pasting it within a PowerPoint, it says in here like it's for their sort of use only. So if you find on the video that it's not allowed to be shared or it's a copyright video, then obviously don't use that. But if it's something like Islamic content, usually they allow it to be used, and you're able to just embed that within the PowerPoint. Drag it to where you want it, and then you can just play it while you are on that particular slide. Okay, so that's all inserting. There is a drawing feature as well. Again, you could use these pens and draw or highlight something while you are teaching. You can say to them like, this is the part I'm referring to, or you can do something like this, and then that grabs the attention of the child, and you could apply different ways of highlighting your work. Then we have transitions. Again, I'm sure like everyone would be aware of this by now. Transition is when you move between slides, how they work, and you can just apply these transitions and just see like how they work without actually saving something. So click on split and it will show you how split works. Click on reveal and it shows you how this works. Click on random bars, and then obviously if you don't want anything, then just click on none, and then it goes back to sort of normal. It can be applied per slide, or it can be applied on the whole presentation. Then we have animations. So animations are within the text. You can have, if you have multiple text, you can have it appear in different times rather than the whole text coming at one point. This is again useful when you're introducing topics slowly and gradually, or asking questions. So you can put up a question, ask people for input, and then let the answer appear by, you can make it appear somehow, or you can float in or whatever. And everything that you do would have its own. So this one I've said I want it to appear. This one I said I want to sort of float in. And then this one I want to zoom in there. So you will see that every animation is shown as a number, and you can then use those numbers and drag and drop them as well if you want to change the order. Again, slideshow, there are multiple ways of doing slideshows. I won't go into detail, so everyone will know like how to do slideshows. There is another option of spell checking. Again, it's very important that when we are teaching that we are careful of spellings and grammar and other things, because you don't want to be sort of teaching something which is not right. So you could do a spell check across your PowerPoint. And there's also an interesting feature of translate. I'm sure, like, no, all the kids would probably be like, looking at English language. But if you do want to translate something, there is an option to click on translate. So I have, just selected design, clicked on translate, and it's saying that translation is calm in there. If I press insert, it would just change that into a different language. So if I put transition in here and insert, then you could put like different words. This can be done for Arabic as well, by the way. So again, you can test it out and see how you can put different Arabic words from English words. It is machine level translation, so you won't be able to obviously have very exact meanings of that. Okay, I'll quickly move on to Kahoot. I know I've only got like about 5 minutes left. I might be like 7 minutes or so, but I'll try to be as quick as possible. We do have a full Microsoft Office course coming up within my Majlis Ulama in June. So if you're interested in learning Word, Excel, PowerPoint in detail, you can join that course. So Kahoot is a quiz tool. Everyone uses Kahoot, either by joining in. Kids really love it. It's a free thing as well. So you can join Kahoot as a free account. Make sure you select teacher and a workplace as school, and then you're able to create a Kahoot in there. Then you are able to create different Kahoots. If you haven't used Kahoot before, then once you're logged on, you click on create, and then you come to this screen where you can put a question and then the 4 answers in there with the correct answer as well. Sometimes when you have 50 questions, then it might become hard to type in a question and an answer and the 4 answers. So there is a spreadsheet available where you can download the template and just fill up an Excel file. And from that Excel file, when you click on import, all your 50 questions will be done in one click. And that's, I find it a lot more easier than for bigger Kahoots that we need to sort of create. The other option in Kahoot is something called reports. If you click on any of the previous Kahoots, once the Kahoot has been finished, you're able to see a lot of reports in there. So it not just ends at that same time when the Kahoot finishes. You can see how many players attended, even the names of the players that were in that Kahoot. How many, which questions they took longer to do, what was the average, how many questions, who didn't took part at all. So if you just click on reports, you'll be able to see all your previous reports. So if every madrasa has an account, or if you can have your personal account, you're able to see all these in the background. And lastly, once the Kahoot finishes, then you could click on this thing called Get Feedback. And at that point, they get a pop-up window, and they can just put in some comments in there. And that's always useful, either from parents or from other people, to understand like how we can improve the next Kahoot. All Kahoots are by default 20 seconds per question, but I don't know if you're aware, but that time limit can be changed. So for younger kids, it might be better to give them a longer time limit. It's not always the fastest and the quickest answer. You want to give them time to read the question and get the answers right. There's another thing about joining Kahoots. That's always a problem, for me. So when you do send out the Kahoot login and say, so the Kahoot is turned on and the pin of Kahoot is displayed. If someone just joins in from a mobile phone, they only get to see the colors, not the questions. So it's always advisable to join from a laptop, that can show the questions and everything. But if it's only mobile phone, and that has happened sometimes. It's always good for teachers to read out the questions, and they can say the color as well for the kids to say, this is the question, the answer, this answer is red, this answer is blue, this answer is yellow, and then they can just pick the right color. Okay, just in interest of time, I won't go through Google Jamboard, and inshallah, if we attend the full Microsoft Office training, then we'll cover the Jamboard system in here as well. These slides will be available, so you can try Google Jamboard, and again, I'll leave my contact if you want any help with that. Just lastly, from a creative teacher perspective, and I'll just go through the list. This is just from my experience so far. I really recommend teachers not to be afraid of IT. In this age, the type of children we're dealing with, we have to deal with technology. So try and take that phobia out somehow by working with other people and learning and training. You have to be well versed with computers and the phone. I want teachers like to have no compromise on internet, webcam, or microphones. Please try and get the best internet connection possible. The best webcam and the best microphone. These are your tools. If the microphone is not working, the whole training is out. If the webcam is not working, so this is the foundation, and so we don't want any compromise on foundations. You can request to attend other classes as observers, just to see what other teachers are doing, and then apply some best practices back into your class. Try and keep a folder either on your computer or ideally on one of these OneDrive, Googles. Whatever you find on the internet, try and create that big resource box, like you used to have cupboards in schools. You can maybe have a folder, and within the folder, go through all your resources, so you don't have to recreate and refine things. There are lots of YouTube short videos. So I'm sure if you type in, Kahoot features in YouTube, you'll find like a short 3-minute video, which would probably say the same thing what I've done, but not in sort of an interactive format. And you can practice with other teachers. It's important. It's not an isolated type of thing. Try new software and online tools. There's plenty of evaluation available, and become that creative teacher who uses technology to its best. For young children, try and get parents involved in that class. They are home anyway, and it's kind of their responsibility too as well. But see if you can get the parents, because if the parent is there with those young children, then together, you parent and the child together, you can use the technology much more better. We have this set very strict examples of online behavior issues. There's a whole section later on in the day after Zohar about behavior, but some good examples need to be set from the beginning, so the kids don't take it sort of lightly. And just like towards the end, ask for help. Majlis Ulama has got a forum, of teachers, us all together, including myself, like in a WhatsApp group or email addresses or madrasa portal, via madrasa management, everywhere. Just if you're not sure of something, just ask, and I'm sure we will all be able to help together, learning technology, and yeah, we all sort of in it together for the best education for our community children. So I'll leave with my email address in here. Anything related to these, and if any madrasa like want individual trainings on technologies, then inshallah, we will be happy to arrange that via MUS. I'll stop here, and if there are any questions or feedback, then we're welcome. Or
Assalamu alaikum. I have a question, please.
Yes, sure.
You talked about behavior. I'm finding in one of the classes older girls in one of the madrasas, they refuse to switch on their camera in spite of it being madrasa policy. And even once the parents say that the children then refuse to attend the classes if we force them to switch on their cameras. These are older teenage girls. How? I carry on the lesson then, because once you've asked them for a few times, I can't waste the time of that one or two person who has got their camera switched on. What do you do in that instance?
Yeah, can I would love to take the question. We have a full session on online behavior management. And I know, because my wife is delivering that, I know, like, this will be covered in there. So
Sure.
I'm sure, like, can be covered in quite detail,
Great.
inshallah, in that session.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, brother. That was very informative. I have a question. And my question is regarding Kahoot. I do Kahoot regularly with my class. However, recently I've been getting a message from Kahoot saying that I've got more than 10 players, and therefore I have to upgrade. Have you had this before? I haven't upgraded yet, because obviously there's a cost element to that. I just wanted to ask that question, that have you seen that message when you've
Yes,
perhaps?
I think very timely. I only got to know about this yesterday.
Okay.
My accounts have been there. I think the accounts that were created long time ago don't have this problem, because I had to share my details for that group to use. But I think new accounts have some limitations. But I have to check, like, what's happening with the new accounts, because they're using more and more. I think they're placing restrictions on it.
Yes, I've noticed that too. Because initially when I started in the autumn term, they didn't have that restriction. Now it seems that they have this restriction. So is that something that I have to upgrade? Because obviously I don't want to be stopped, or I don't want them to prevent me from.
I think let me research that a bit,
Okay.
and I'll answer that in the teachers group, or even in the chat a bit later.
Okay, thank you, brother.
We do have Maulana Ali Raza now. Assalamu inshallah.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Just a basic question. It's about whiteboard. Is it just the host that enables you for whiteboard? Because sometimes if I'm not host, I have no option for using whiteboard.
Yeah, so you'll either be a host or a co-host to be able to use the whiteboard option. And if you are a teacher, you'll be one of those, either the host or the co-host.
Okay, because the madrasa makes us co-host. If they don't make us co-host, we are not gonna use we can't use
it. They could be making you co-host, and the co-host has that option to do.
Okay, all right, okay, Jazakallah.